Well, right now I am standing on the Easy Red sector of Omaha Beach. And in the early morning hours of June 6, 1944, this is where the 16th Infantry Regiment of the 1st Infantry Division landed. Now, we've been here before and have showed a few things up and down this beach, but there are a few areas that we haven't got to that we're going to show today. And plus, we've also brought with us an artifact from a guy who landed here on D-Day and who unfortunately had a rather tragic end in the war. We've moved just up off of the beach, and the draw that we are looking at on D-Day was codenamed the E1 draw here in the Easy Red sector. So as you can see, looking along this bluff, for one, there's quite a few people here today, but along the bluff there are these notches, or these draws, that would allow U.S. infantry and armor to get off the beach. Of course, the Germans knew this, so each one of these points was strongly fortified. Well, on the morning of June 6th, down the beach just a ways, there was a captain by the name of Joe Dawson, who had been very instrumental in taking out a machine gun nest, and there were two other guys named Spaulding and Strazak, who also took out a machine gun nest. They met up with Dawson. Dawson's going to go on into Colville, and then Spaulding and Strazak are going to come right along the top of this bluff. And there's a strong point that was right here that was incomplete, called WN64, and then another one right here, WN65. We've moved up to the casemate here at WN65. And I think this one was completed like in April of 1944, so not long before D-Day. And as with other bunkers, you can kind of see this blast wall here that is protecting the front opening. This bunker in particular had a 50 millimeter anti-tank gun in it. Some veterans kept calling it an 88, but it's actually a 50 millimeter. And there was a destroyer called the USS Frankfurt that really made life tough for these guys, poured in a lot of fire. On the morning of D-Day, you can see a big chunk that has been taken out of the top. But the ones who really were instrumental in taking out this bunker was the men from the 467th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Automatic Weapons Battalion. And there was a sergeant in there by the name of Sergeant Haas, who was manning a 37 millimeter gun on the back of a half-track. And they had to maneuver the half-track around and like put the front end towards the water and point the back end towards this bunker. There was some stuff that was obstructing it from the front. But anyway, Haas ended up pouring fire into this bunker, forcing the surrender of the Germans who were inside. And anyway, after the beach was secured, this became the first headquarters for the Americans on Omaha Beach. Now, for Omaha Beach, a lot of the focus is what happened on D-Day, which understandably so. But Omaha Beach became the major point of embarkation for thousands of U.S. soldiers over the next couple months in 1944. And there's a pretty famous picture of the 2nd Infantry Division coming up this hillside right here with this bunker in the background. So the 2nd Infantry came through here, and then numerous other divisions after that. You can see here by the bunker where they have a memorial to the 2nd Infantry Division honoring the men who landed here on D+1 and then went to do some pretty heavy fighting on throughout the war. But right now we're going to head back down to the beach and take a look at an artifact from a 1st Infantry Division guy who had landed here the day before.
Standing on the Easy Red section of Omaha Beach in Normandy, France, and I brought with me the dog tag of Major Earl D. Green, who is in the Big Red 1. Earl Green went all through the war. He went through Africa, Italy, and he landed here in Normandy on June 6, 1944. And he served his country gallantly, only to be killed at the very end of the war in a Jeep accident. Here's a guy that made the ultimate sacrifice, not in combat, but through an accident. This dog tag was sent back in 1948 when his body was repatriated back to Massachusetts. The dog tag was attached to the coffin that he came back in, and the lead piece that you see on there was put there by the graves registration people. And the envelope was written by the funeral director that handled his funeral. It's a poignant reminder that war is costly, not only in combat deaths, but in accidental deaths. And I always like to remember Earl Green. He was highly educated, he had his entire life ahead of him, and he died in a tragic accident at the very end of the war in 1945.